तव कथामृतम् तप्तजीवनम् कविभिरीडितम् कल्मषापहम् श्रवणमङ्गलम् श्रीमदाततम् भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जनाः भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जनाः।
ॐ तव कथामृतं तप्तजीवनं कविभिरीडितं कल्मषापहं श्रवणमङ्गलं श्रीमदाततं भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जना. We are studying the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna and we are in the conversations of Saturday, October 18, 1884. It happened to be the Kali Puja day, which in other parts of India is known as Deepavali or Lakshmi Puja day. And that day afternoon, the famous singer Rajnarayan had sung Durga's some songs on Kali, and Thakur had attended that. At 8 o'clock in the night, Master Masha has come because the devotees want to be with Thakur throughout the night. The Kali Puja is a whole night puja, as again the Lakshmi Puja, which is in the evening. So, they are with Thakur. And some other devotees have come, and after some talks, and Thakur showed great love and tenderness for them, they have left. And now, and there was silence in the room. And Thakur started singing those songs which he had heard from the Rajnarayan party. And firstly, he softly sang something. Then he sat up and with divine intoxication, he started singing many of those songs which he had heard, one after the other. Up till this we had read. Now, the singing was over. Full stop. Two sons of Rajnarayan. I want to modify this a little because it seems the two things dissociated. I would say, as the singing was over, two sons of Rajnarayan entered the room. That means Thakur is singing. And as he completed that singing, the two sons of Rajnarayan came. It is significant because Thakur will again start singing. Two sons of Rajnarayan entered the room and bowed low before the master. In the afternoon, they had sung with their father the glories of Divine Mother. The master sang again with them. So that is the connection. As Thakur finished singing, the two sons came, bowed down before the master, and Thakur started singing with them. So the singing is almost continued. All creation is the sport of my mad mother Kali. Where is that? ये सब खेपा मेर खेला ठीक. So that is one song. Huh? The younger brother requested Sri Ramakrishna to sing a certain song about Sri Gauranga. They sang Kali Kirtan, because that was the occasion. But he knew that Thakur can sing the Vaishnava songs also well, and the younger brother wanted to listen to that. So he requested Thakur to sing about Gauranga. The master sang. So you understand the sequence. Thakur in intoxicated, firstly soft sound, then out of intoxication, many songs of Kali, then the Rajnarayan's son entered, then the Thakur sang with them one song, and then the younger son requests to Thakur to sing the Gauranga song. And that he sings, Gaur and Nitai, ye blessed brothers, I have heard how kind you are, and therefore I have come to you. That full song is given elsewhere. At this point, Ramlal entered the room. Thakur's nephew, Pujari in the Kali temple, the master said to him, please sing something about the Divine Mother. Because he sang Gauranga song requested, but the mood is a Kali Puja. And so he asked Ramlal to sing about Kali. It is the day of our worship. Thakur is telling that. Ramlal sang, who is the woman yonder? Samare alo kare kar kamini, sajala jalada jinia kar, dashane prakashe damini, eloe chachar chikura pash, surasura maje nakore tras, attahas dano nashe, रणप्रकाशे रंगेनी किंवा शोभा करे श्रमज बिंदू घनतनु घेरी कुसुम बंधू आमिय सिंधु हेरिय इंदु मलिन एक कौन मोहिनी एक असंभव भव पराभव पदतले शव सदृश नीरव कमलाकांत कर अनुभव के बोटे ओ गजगामिनी. Ramlal sang, who is the woman yonder who lights the field of battle? Darker her body gleams even than the darkest storm cloud, and from her teeth there flash the lightning's blinding flames. Disheveled her hair is flying behind as she rushes about, undoubted in this war between the gods and the demons, laughing her terrible laugh, she slays the fleeing asuras, and with her dazzling flashes, she bears the horror of war. One or two lines are left in English. Again, Ramlal sang, who is this terrible woman, dark as the sky at midnight? Who is this woman dancing over the field of battle? Ke rane nachiche shama nirada varani. Sri Ramakrishna began to dance to that song, and then he himself sang, Majulo amar mana bhramara shamapada nila. The black bee of my mind is drawn in sheer delight to the blue lotus flower of Mother Shama's feet, the blue flower of the feet of Kali, Shiva's consort. Tasteless to the bee are the blossoms of desire. My mother's feet are black, and black too is the bee. Black is made one with black. This much of the mystery these mortal eyes behold, then hastily retreat. But Kamalakanta's hopes are answered in the end. He swims in the sea of bliss, unmoved by joy or pain. So Thakur sang this. After the music and dancing, Sri Ramakrishna sat on the couch and the devotees sat on the floor. He said to him, It is a pity you weren't here in the afternoon. The musical recital of Chandi was very nice, very fine. Some of the devotees went to the temple to salute the image of the Divine Mother. Others sat quietly performing japa on the steps leading to the Ganges. It was about 11 o'clock, the most auspicious time for contemplation of the Divine Mother, night. The flood tide was rising in the Ganges, and the lights on the banks were reflected here and there in its dark waters. We explained the flood tide and the ebb tide, that the ocean swells on Purnima and Amavasya, and that flood enters the river Ganges also to certain miles. From outside the shrine, M was so the Ganges is sometimes with the flood tide and sometimes with the ebb tide. From outside the shrine, M was looking wistfully at the image. So, Master is still in his room, it seems. M has gone to the temple, looking wistfully at the image. That means he has some desire in the mind. Ramlal came to the temple with a book in his hand containing the rules of the worship. He asked them if he wanted to come in. M felt highly favored and entered the shrine. That is what he wanted. He saw that the Divine Mother was profusely decorated. So by now we see that Master Masha's Nirakar Bhalo Lage has gone. He is fully intoxicated with Mother Kali's worship. The room was brilliantly illuminated by a large chandelier that hung from the ceiling. 2 candles were burning in front of the image. No electricity, huh? On the floor were trays full of offerings. Red hibiscus flowers and bay leaves adorned her feet. She wore garlands around her neck. M's eyes fell on the chamara, that with which the mother is fanned. Suddenly he remembered that Sri Ramakrishna often fanned the Divine Mother with it. With some hesitation, he asked Ramlal if he might fan the image. The priest gave his permission. M joyously fanned the image. The regular worship had not yet begun. Preliminaries are going on. The devotees again entered the master's room. Benipal had invited Sri Ramakrishna to visit the Sinthi Brahma Samaj the next day, but had made a mistake in his letter with regard to the date. Master to M. Benipala sent me an invitation, but why has he put the wrong date? M. The date was not written correctly. He wrote the letter carelessly. As Sri Ramakrishna spoke, he was standing in the middle of the room with Baburam by his side. He leaned toward the disciple, touching his body. Suddenly, he went into samadhi. The devotees stood around with their eyes fixed on him. The master's left foot was advanced a little. The shoulder was slightly inclined to one side. His arm rested on Baburam's neck near the ear. After a while, he came down from the ecstatic state. As he stood there, he put one hand to his cheek and appeared to be brooding over something. Okay. Then smiling, he addressed the devotee. Master, I saw everything, how far the devotees had advanced. I saw Rakhal, pointing to him, Surendra, Baburam, and many others. Hazara, me, he is more interested to know about himself. Master, yes. Hazara, many more obstacles, he is interested in himself only. Master, no. Hazara, what about Narendra? Master, I didn't see him, but I can tell about him. He is a little entangled because seeking a job, his father had died, but I saw that everyone will succeed to him. I saw that all are in hiding, not yet manifested. The devotees listened to these words with great wonder. It seemed to them that they were hearing an oracle, Akashvani. Master, but I got into that mood by touching Baburam. Hazra, who is free first? His calculating mind. Sri Ramakrishna was quiet for a time. Then he said, I wish I had a few like Nitya Gopal. Nitya Gopal, Thakur used to praise that he is bordering on Samadhi. But he also used to say that he doesn't belong to this place. But he wants some more people like Nitya Gopal. Again he appeared thoughtful. He remained standing. He said, I wish other sense duties would become fewer. But I am afraid the English officer will scold him. He may say, what is all this nonsense? Or smile. That is because the English officer would not understand the Kali Puja or anything of the devotion. Sri Ramakrishna sat on the small coach and the devotees on the floor. Baburam and Kishori came quickly to the master and began to stroke his feet gently. Master to Kishori, what's the matter? Why so much service today? Ramlal entered the room and saluted Sri Ramakrishna. They felt more attraction, devotion, and Kali Puja. Ramlal entered the room and saluted Sri Ramakrishna, touching the ground with his forehead. Then with great respect he touched the master's feet. That is the full salutation. First you touch your forehead to the ground and then touch the feet. He was ready to worship the Divine Mother in the temple. Ramlal, please permit me to go to the shrine. For that he has come. Before puja, he wants to take Sri Ramakrishna's blessing. The master twice uttered the words Om Kali, and said, perform the worship carefully. There is also a sheep to be slaughtered. So that was the custom in Dakshineshwar. On Amavasya days, they used to slaughter a sheep. And that is a very special puja. So sheep has to be slaughtered. So be careful. That is what Sri Ramakrishna said. It was midnight. The worship began in the Kali temple. The master went to watch the ceremony. During the worship, he stood near the image. Now the sheep was going to be slaughtered. The animal was consecrated before the deity. People stood in lines watching the ceremony. While the sheep was being taken to the block, Sri Ramakrishna returned to his room. he could not bear the sight. His heart has become too soft. Several devotees remained in the temple till 2 o'clock in the morning. Haripada came and asked them to take the prasad to the master's room. After finishing their meal, they lay down wherever they could for the remainder of the night. So puja, it seems, went up to 2 o'clock. It was morning. So date is changed now from October 18, now it is October 19. It was morning. The dawn service in the temple was over and the theatrical performance was going on in the open hall in front of the temple shrine, connected with Kali Puja. M was coming through the courtyard with Sri Ramakrishna. He wanted to take leave of the master. Master, why should you go now? M, you are going to Sinti in the afternoon. I too intend to be there, so I should like to go home for a few hours. They came to the Kali temple. At the foot of the steps, M saluted the master. Master, you are going? All right. Please bring 2 pieces of cheap cloth for me. I shall use them while taking my bath. So, we understand something? His physical needs, other than what he used to get from the temple, he used to ask Master Masha only. So, Rakhal was a spiritual son, but in the Laukika sense, in the worldly sense, Master Masha has acted as Sri Ramakrishna's son throughout. And he is taking Thakur as father, Holy Mother as mother. That is a tender relation. So several times we see, bring me this or that, he is telling him. And for bath, they use an intermediary cloth. It need not be fine. So he says, coarse cloth to please bring. So we go to chapter 32, October 19. That very next day continues. On this day, Sri Ramakrishna again visited the Sinti Brahma Samaj. It was the occasion of the autumn festival of the Samaj, which was being celebrated at Beni Madhav Pal's garden house. The hall was decorated with flowers and greens, leaves, flags and festoons of various colors. Outside, the blue autumn sky with its fleecy clouds was reflected in the water of the lake. Sri Ramakrishna arrived at 4:30 in the afternoon. Entering the hall, he bowed down before the altar. There is no image, Nirakar worship, but the altar from which the worship is conducted. Thakur saluted that altar. The Brahmo devotees among whom could be noticed Vijay and Trilokya sat around him. Trilokya is the musician of the Brahma Samaj, composing songs, singing them. A sub-judge who was a member of the Brahma Samaj was with them. Trilokya was entertaining the devotees with his melodious music. Master to Trilokya, that song of yours, oh mother, make me mad with that love, I enjoy very much. Won't you sing it? Trilokya sang, oh mother, These songs were composed by Thakur's influence on this. O mother, make me mad with thy love. What need have I of knowledge or reason? Make me drunk with thy love, wine, thy love's wine. Make me drunk with thy love's wine. O thou who stealest the bhakta's heart, drown me deep in the sea of thy love. Here in this world, the madhouse of thine, some laugh, some weep, some dance for joy. Jesus, Buddha, Moses, Gauranga, all are drunk with the wine of thy love. O mother, where shall I be blessed by joining? When shall I be blessed by joining their blissful company? So, that is a visualization, imagination of incarnations worshipping Mother Kali. As he listened to this song, the master's mind underwent a transformation and presently he went into deep samadhi because madness of love is wanted in that song. No reasoning. So he got that. Coming down a little to the plane of the sense world, he gave instruction to the devotees. His mind was still charged with the divine experience. His words were spoken as if in a state of intoxication. Gradually, he became again fully conscious of the world. Okay. So he wants to retain the external consciousness, master, to enjoy the celebrations. Oh mother, I don't want the bliss of divine inebriation. I shall eat siddhi. So lot of matter is skipped. Huh? In between, there is a paragraph about Krishna entering the Samadhi. Pandava feeling that he has left the body. So that is skipped in the English translation. Karanananda China Siddhi Khabu. Wine I don't want, but I shall take a little of him. Bhang it is called. To the devotees, by Siddhi I mean the attainment of the spiritual goal. Siddhi has three meanings. that intoxicating substance, the supernatural powers and perfection. So Thakur says, Ami Siddhi khavo, I shall eat Siddhi, and then he explains that Siddhi, he does not mean the occult powers, he means perfection. To the devotees, by Siddhi, I mean the attainment of the spiritual goal and not one of the 8 occult powers. About the occult powers, Sri Krishna said to Arjuna, that is a repeated theme in Thakur's teaching. Friend, if you find anyone who has acquired even one of the 8 powers, then know for certain he will not realize me. So the present age we see a crop of godmen existing only on their siddhis. It is evident by Thakur's telling that none of them has attained the divine power, divine state. And people are mad after them. People are mad because their desires are there. And so they want their siddhis. For powers surely beget pride, and God cannot be realized if there is the slightest trace of pride. So long as I am there, God cannot be realized. According to a certain school of thought, there are 4 classes of devotees: the Pravartaka, the Sadhaka, the Siddha, and the Siddha of the Siddha. Now, from that word Siddhi is telling all that. He who has just begun religious life is a Pravartaka. Such a man puts his denominational marks on his body and forehead, wears a rosary around the neck, and scrupulously follows other outer conventions. The sadhaka has advanced further. His desire for outer show has become less. He longs for the realization of God and prays to Him sincerely. He repeats the name of God and calls on Him with a guileless heart. So, that is the sadhaka. Huh? Whom should we call the sadhaka? Siddha, who has the absolute conviction that God exists and is the sole doer. He was seen God. So 3 things he told about the perfection. Nishchayatmika buddhi, nishchayatmika. That means he is absolutely sure that God is there. Secondly, and he knows that God is the only doer. This we repeatedly find in Sri Ramakrishna's special teachings. He knows God is the only doer. I am not the doer. He is Siddha. And who has seen God. So lastly he says, he has seen God. That means he has experienced God. That is, I think, 3 stages he is telling. He is telling 3 stages: conviction, doership, knowledge. And who is the Siddha of the Siddha? He who has not merely seen God, but has intimately talked with him as father, son, or So, intimate relation with God, Thakur is telling, Siddha of the Siddha. He has talked with God. With some relation. God as Father, God as Son, or God as Beloved. Any of these relations, intimate relations, that is called Siddha of the Siddha. It is one thing to believe beyond a doubt that fire exists in wood, but it is quite another to get the fire from the wood, cook rice with itself, appease one's hunger, and so be satisfied. These are two entirely different things. So that conviction is the start, it is not the end. And when that has ripened into intimacy, then that is the real. No one can put a limit to spiritual experience. If you refer to one experience, there is another beyond that, and still another, and so on. These are Thakur's specialities. He does not make everything end in Nirvikala Samadhi. In an ecstatic mood, referring to the Brahmos, they are Brahmajnanis. They believe in the formless deity. That is good. To the Brahmo devotees, be firm in one ideal, either in God with form or in the formless God. So either or itself tells that Thakur holds both to be real. Then alone will you realize God, otherwise not. So conviction is the start. With firm and unwavering belief, the followers of God with form will realize Him, as will those who speak of Him as formless. So starting point can be either. You may eat a cake with icing either straight or sideways. It will taste sweet either way. So sweet cake like this or like this, all is sweet. So with form or without form, Thakur takes as equal. And this simile make people laugh. But you must have firm conviction. You must pray to Him wholeheartedly. Do you know what the God of worldly people is like? It is like children saying to one another while at play, I swear by God. They have no idea about God. Huh? They have learned the word from the quarrels of their aunts or grandmothers. Or it is like God to a dandy. A dandy means a stylish gentleman. Fit Babu. He is describing the dandy. The dandy, all spick and span, his lips red from chewing bitter leaf, walks in the garden, cane in hand, and plucking a flower, exclaims to his friend, Ah, what a beautiful flower God has made. So that much connection with God. But this feeling of a worldly person is momentary. It lasts as long as a drop of water on a red hot frying pan. So thus that moment only, a touch of a feeling, then it is gone. That will not do. You must be firm in one ideal. Dive deep. So try to experience that by going deep within yourself. Otherwise, you cannot get the gems at the bottom of the ocean. You cannot pick up the gems if you only float on the surface. So that is the main thing. He is telling the Brahmos. Nirakar, all right. but you must go cross layer after layer and go deep within yourself. With these words, the master sang in the sweet voice that had bewitched the hearts of devotees like Keshav. डूब 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 रूप सागरे अमर मन तलातल पाताल खुजले पाविरे प्रेम रत्न धन. Dive deep, O mind, dive deep in the ocean of God's beauty. If you descend to the uttermost depths, there you will find the gem of love. The devotees felt as if they were in paradise itself, lifted by Thakur's power. Master to the Brahmas, dive deep, learn to love God, learn to love God. So Thakur finds that lacking. Plunge into divine love. You see, I have heard how you pray. Why do Brahmas dwell so much on the glories of God? You have created the sky, the great ocean, the lunar world, the solar world, and the stellar world. Everybody is wonderstruck at the mere sight of a rich man's garden house. People become speechless at the sight of the trees, the flowers, the pond, the drawing room, the pictures. But alas, how few are they who seek the owner of all these. So don't dwell on this Aishwarya. Think of God, love Him, reach Him, dive deep. Only one or two inquire after Him. He who seeks God with a longing heart can see Him. Talk to Him as I am talking to you. This is Thakur's repeated statement. This is quite a departure with what Shankara has told. Believe my word, when I say that God can be seen, but to whom am I saying these words? Who will believe me? That is a pity. Can one find God in the sacred books? By reading the scriptures, one may feel at the most that God exists. But God does not reveal Himself to a man unless He Himself dives deep, that man. Only after such a plunge, after the revelation of God through His grace. So when he plunges, then God's grace comes. Is one's doubt destroyed? Okay. So doubts go only after realization of God. You may read scriptures by the thousands and recite thousands of texts, but unless you plunge into God with yearning of heart, you will not comprehend Him. So one has to try for experience. By mere scholarship, you may fool man, but not God. Experience, love, intimacy. Scriptures and books, what can one achieve with these alone? In Brihadaranyaka, there in the commentary one understands that there is Shastra Vasana, addiction to scriptures. Strive with a longing heart for His grace. Through His grace you will see Him and He will talk to you. Again and again He is repeating that. Subject. Sir, does God show more grace to one than to another? If so, He can be accused of the fault of partiality. That is the reason. Without any touch of experience, That is the reason. Master, what are you saying? Do you mean to say that the moon and a glowworm are the same? See the examples. Though both give light, Ishwar Vidyasagar asked me the same question. Thakur has not forgotten that and his replies. So wherever he goes, he repeats that. Ishwar Vidyasagar was a great scholar. So he has also felt doubt on that point. So without experience, everything is useless. He said, is it a fact, sir, that God gives more power to one and less to another? God, I said, exists in every being as the all-pervading spirit. Samam sarveshu bhuteshu. He is in the ant as well as in me. Not only man to man, ant also. But there are different manifestations of his power in different beings. Manifestations of power are different. This the Nirakarvadi is the so-called Advaita is loose. If all are the same, then why have we come here to see you? He had told Ishwar Vidyasagar about it. Attracted by your renown, have you grown a pair of horns? Oh no, it is not that. You have compassion, you have scholarship. There is a greater degree of these virtues in you than in others. That is the reason you are so well known. Don't you see that there are men who single-handed can defeat 100 persons? Again, one man takes up to his heels in fear of another. You see such a person too. If there are not different manifestations of power in different beings, then why did people respect Keshav Sen so much? So through examples, he is proving his thing. It is said in the Gita that if a man is respected and honored by many, whether it be for his scholarship or his music or his oratory or anything else, then you may know for certain that he is endowed with a special divine power. In the Vibhuti Yoga, Yad Yad Vibhuti Mat Sattam Shrimad Urjitam Eva Va Tatta Devava Gachattam Mama Tejonsha Sambhavam. So Thakur is telling it, whether it be for his scholarship or his music or his oratory or anything else. If a man is respected and honored by many, then you may know for certain that he is endowed with a special divine power. A Brahmo to the sub-judge. Why don't you accept what he says? Thakur is ready to give answers to that sub-judge who seems to have come first time. But this Brahmo wants him to accept without questioning that Thakur does not like at all. Important point, huh? Master, sharply to the Brahmo. What sort of man you are? To accept words without conviction? Why, that is hypocrisy. I see you are only a counterfeit coin. That means accepting without conviction. The Brahma was much embarrassed. Sub-judge, sir, must we renounce the world? So he is questioning and Thakur is explaining. He seems to be a new person. So whatever ideas are coming, he is asking. And Thakur has already told, all doubts vanish only when you realize the reality. Till then, it is the work of people like Thakur to remove the doubts. Master, no. Why should you? A man can realize God even in the world. Constant theme, but will come, a rider. But at the beginning, he must spend a few days in solitude. few days in solitude, he is prescribing to the householders if they want to realize God. Then living in the house you can realize, but in the beginning you must practice this. Solitude, remember. He must practice spiritual discipline in a solitary place. So, Thakur telling everybody can realize is not so easy as it appears. He is repeatedly telling about solitude. He must practice spiritual discipline in a solitary place. He should take a room near his house so that he may come home only for his meals. So practical, huh? Solitude. But for his meals he can come to his house. Otherwise he'll have to cook himself or bake food, and then lot of energy is wasted. Very practical. He should take a room near his house so that he may come home only for his meals. Keshav, Pratap and others said to me, "Sir, we follow the ideal of King Janaka." King Janaka is famous that he was a king and yet he is called Videha, without body consciousness. Wisest person. Mere words don't make a King Janaka, I replied. How many austerities King Janaka first had to perform in solitude? So this many people ignore and they only think of King Janaka, standing on his head and so on. Do something first, some sadhana, some austerity. Then you may become a King Janaka. You see a man writing English fluently. But could he do that at the very start? Perhaps he was the son of poor parents. He was cook in a family and earned his meals by service. So, perhaps he had to struggle hard to go on with his studies. After all this, you don't see only the finished product. See the process which has been undergone. It is after all these efforts that you can now write such fluent English. Very great example of our revered Swami Ranganathan. He was a matriculate, and his duty in the beginning was to work in the kitchen. And every little leisure time there he spent in reading 50 times the complete work of Swami Vivekananda. And later on, so much knowledge he has absorbed. People have always taken him to a scholar and great orator. But by outside qualification, he was only a matric. So this has not come suddenly to him. He has struggled hard. Our own Bhumananji, who was the ex-month of Pune, he was also a matriculate. But he appeared to people as a great scholar, a lover of scholasticism. I said to Keshav Sen further, so he's still replying to that man who is asked, can we have we to renounce the world? And Thakur said, not necessary, but. I said to Keshav Sen further, how can the worldly man be cured of his serious disease unless he goes into solitude? A worldly man is suffering from delirious fever, as it were. Typhoid used to, in intense form, make man delirious. So, delirious fever. Suppose there are pickled tamarind and jars of water in the room of such a patient. So he feels tremendous urge for these things. Now, how can you expect him to get rid of disease? Just see, the very mention of pickled tamarind is making my mouth water. So much drag is there. And Thakur, instead of telling somebody's example, gives his own example. Allah. You can very well imagine what will happen if the tamarind is actually put in front of me. So by talking about tamarind, mouth has salivated. If I see what will happen, this is taking up the worldly people's attitude on himself so that he can really explain it. To a man, a woman is the pickled tamarind to a man, and his desire for enjoyment, the jars of water. There is neither end nor limit to this desire for worldly enjoyment, and the things are in the patient's very room. Can you expect the patient to get rid of the delirious fever in this fashion? He must be removed for a few days to another place where there are neither pickled tamarind nor water jars. Then he will be cured. After that, if he returns to his old room, he will have nothing to fear. Woman and gold cannot do any harm to the man who lives in the world after attaining God. Very clear? Only then can he lead a detached life in the world, as King Janaka did. But he must be careful at the beginning. He must practice spiritual discipline in strict solitude. The peepal tree, when young, is fenced around to protect it from cattle. But there is no need for the fence when the trunk grows thick and strong. Then no harm will be done to the tree, even if an elephant is tied to it. Woman and God will not be able to harm you in the least if you go home and lead householder's life after increasing your spiritual strength and developing love for God's feet, lotus feet of God, through the practice of spiritual discipline in solitude. So he is talking that if you develop the love of God, then it is all right. A man sets milk in a quiet place to curdle, and then he extracts butter from the curd. After once extracting the butter of devotion and knowledge from the milk of the mind, if you keep that transformed mind in the water of the world, it will float in the world unattached. But if the mind in its unripe state, that is to say, when it is just like liquid milk, is kept in the water of the world, then the milk and water will get mixed. In that case, it will be impossible for the mind to float unattached to the world. Very clear? Live in the world, but in order to realize God, hold fast to his lotus feet with one hand and with the other do your duties. When you get a respite from your duties, cling to God's lotus feet with both hands. Live in solitude and meditate on him and serve him ceaselessly. Then the subject is asking the next question. So we'll take it up, the next question, tomorrow evening. Om Tava Kathāmritam Tapta Jivanam Kaviviridhitam Kalmashapaham श्रवणमङ्गलं श्रीमदाततं भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जना। ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरि ओम तत्सत्। श्री रामकृष्णार्पणमस्तु।